Speed has never killed anyone. Suddenly becoming stationary, that's what gets you.
Speed cameras. Nobody fucking likes them, especially when they're placed at the bottom of hills, strategically hidden, or put in at a location where they just lowered the speed limit for absolutely no reason. But as much as we don't like speed cameras, unfortunately they're not going anywhere. But in the time that they've been out, ruining our days and draining our bank accounts, they have provided some good entertainment. So in this video we'll be going through all aspects of speed cameras, the positives and the negatives. It's time for me to stop the waffle. Let's get into it. And we're going to start off with my and probably everyone's least favourite speed cameras, the mobile speed camera. Now the downside of mobile speed cameras is they can basically spring up anywhere. Me personally, I know where all the fixed speed cameras are around my area, and I'm sure you guys have memorised all the ones in your areas as well. But there's nothing worse than doing a top speed run at 480 kilometers an hour over the Mooney Bridge, when all of a sudden you see a silver Toyota Kluger parked up on the side of the road with the IMAX Hubble Telescope 4K edition jammed into the boot, catching you red-handed. Now the reason that they put these speed cameras in the back of cars is because when they put them on trailers, people steal the wheels off the trailer, which if you don't know are the same stud pattern and offset as the Ford Falcon, do burnouts on them, and if they're nice enough they'll even put them back on the trailer with the pop tyres. So instead they put the speed cameras in the back of these cars, pay some wanker with no friends to sit in the passenger seat and catch people doing 63 in a 60 zone so that they can take away their day's pay. But of course these idiots are always sitting ducks, and if you're going to make the general public's life harder, the general public's usually not going to think twice about doing the same thing back. Now this video here obviously is not me, because I would never do something like this, and my name's not Rey Mysterio. However, as you can see in this video, this mystery man who's about 6'5", 100 kilos of pure lean muscle, and a frame that'd put the ASU frat leader to shame, returned the favour to one of these assholes on behalf of the Australian public. And he's not the only one to do so. A couple of years ago there was a bit of a wave going around of people damaging these roadside speed camera cars. There was this guy here who popped 2 tyres of a mobile speed camera in Melbourne. There was this one that was unfortunately blown over by a massive gust of wind despite the efforts of these people to stop it from tipping over. There was this one that was smashed into by a Nissan Navara, probably because it was parked somewhere where it shouldn't be, like the side of a nature strip, and there was a call out for local panel beaters to keep their eye out for the Nissan, which may need to be fixed. And I'm sure they will be very keen to help out in this situation, since this damaged Kluger would have come into their workshop, and the old court of public opinion probably jacked the hell out of these prices on the repair costs, meaning it could have been a very profitable day. Then there was this red Mitsubishi Outback that was allegedly rear-ended by a 4-wheel drive and pushed 30 metres off the road into a tree, and judging by the photos it looks like a pretty high speed impact, so I really hope that this tree wasn't injured. Then of course there's countless instances of people smashing windows, more instances of people rear-ending them, because let's be honest, a lot of the time these people aren't intentionally doing it, but they're parked right on the median strips of high speed roads. And for this example we've got a VE Commodore, which is basically the poster child in Australia of drink and drug affected driving. But according to my research on how people treat these camera cars, and the response that the posts that the news make on social media get from the general public, they're about as popular as a pork chop at a synagogue. But it gets even funnier. You see, it takes a special type of person to willingly do this as a job, and I like to think that if you had any critical thinking skills, you'd look elsewhere for employment. But these lack of critical thinking skills are constantly shown off by the amount of shenanigans and tomfoolery these speed camera operators manage to get themselves into. We got this one here that got flipped on its lid because the driver parked it in a dangerous spot. This one that did the old slip and slide down the hill because the owner parked on some wet grass on an angle, like an idiot. Of course, this one that got bogged in mud and decided that the best course of action was just to flatten it on road tyres and dig himself into a hole while going left and right on the steering wheel. And of course, there's also been a few instances of them just breaking the laws of physics and bursting out in flames. I don't know how this could happen, but I don't think it's even worth investigating because you'd never be able to figure it out anyway. It's just divine intervention. And while we're on the topic of divine intervention, I have to divinely intervene to make an announcement. As you guys all know, my videos are constantly getting taken down, so I've decided to make a Patreon. I don't want to bang on about it too much in this video, so the details are on the screen, and if you're interested, the link's in the description. There'll also be a little bit more info at the end. As always, thank you for your support. Let's get back into the video. Now look, I understand that they're here under the premise of road safety, but where I live in Victoria, these cars are all unmarked. I know that New South Wales and stuff have signs beforehand, so it actually slows people down, which is all good because they're actually giving people a chance to slow down before they get pinned. But in Victoria, you don't know till 2 weeks later, and you get the fine in the mail, or if you're like me and they stand out like dog's balls, so you slow down to 40, flip them the bird, word and drive off. But what I see from the news and social media is these camera cars are causing more accidents, creating risks that wouldn't have been there in the first place, and distracting drivers by making them focus on that weird suspicious Kluger on the side of the road to see if it's a speed camera or not, instead of looking at the road in front of them, or giving people a reason to jump on their phone to mark the camera on Waze. We've got our fixed point speed cameras, we've got our stationary speed cameras. These mobile speed cameras are just unnecessary. So I think all these cars should be seized and crushed and turned into tuna cans, and all the operators should be sent to hard labour in North Korea. But unfortunately I don't call the shots around here, so let's move on. Now the fixed speed cameras are a little bit different. They're actually effective in slowing people down. If you do get done by one of these, you'll know that it's there and you won't make the same mistake again. Unless of course you're me, who got done twice on the M3 in 2 different vehicles, one of which being this green hunk of junk, for doing 109 in a 100 zone. Lock me up. But from now on I will slow down that specific area because I know how dangerous it can be for the pedestrians walking along the East Link. I also got done in Sydney once for doing 69 in a 60 zone just because I didn't know because I'm not from Sydney. But basically what that means is that people will slow down because they know that there's speed cameras there, and that might actually help with road safety, unlike the roadside ones which just pop up anywhere and disappear as fast as they appear. But unlike the mobile speed cameras, these fixed ones aren't constantly monitored by some idiot, and that of course means there's no one stopping you from messing with them. Now when it comes to mobile speed cameras, the only thing you can really do is spray paint the rear window, smash it, or pull over right behind it, put your bonnet up, and start doing an engine swap until the driver gets pissed off and leaves. But with the fixed location ones, you can have a whole lot more fun. For example, this guy in Adelaide, who jumped behind the wheel of an excavator left on a job site right next to a speed camera, and as seen here on CCTV, moved the bucket directly in front of the camera, putting it out of action. Now extremely unfortunately, the CCTV was not able to capture the criminal that did this, but something tells me it looks a little bit like this. And while the police are taking this crime very seriously, the general public have a very different opinion.
I think it's pretty funny, you know, probably had a few fines and saw a way to stop it.
I think it was pretty good, eh? The speed camera's really annoying, so yeah, it's good that the boys are looking out for me.
Bit of a dangerous move?
Yeah, but it's there.
So whoever this mystery man is, you're a legend, and surprisingly, no one died after this speed camera was put out of action. And with that important piece of research concluded, I think we can agree that all speed cameras need to be removed, because they obviously don't do anything. There's also examples of fixed speed cameras being put in temporarily on trailers, like this one here, which seems to have just blown over in the wind. And of course, all these examples of these ones just randomly malfunctioning and bursting out in flames, which of course is very dangerous, so they need to be banned too. But one of my favourite speed camera countermeasures has to be this one to come out of France. The French aren't known to put up a fight against other countries, but when it comes to internal conflict, they're the best at sticking it to the government. And have a look at this. They've stacked these old tractor tyres on this speed camera like a fat kid stacks donuts on his finger. Fun fact of the day, did you know that tyres are also extremely flammable? It'd be an absolute shame if this camera also spontaneously combusted. And one of my favourite stories from recent times is when my local government tried to install these stupid speed cameras that look like the Cybertruck laid an egg, with this little glass cutout for the camera to hide behind at basically chest height. And mind you, this was a multi-million-dollar trial where they used these abhorrently ugly things that had no ties to steal and do burnouts with, were impossible to tip over or set on fire because they're encased in this weird shell. Now I don't know how much these cost, but I'd say a couple $100,000 each. But it turns out all you needed to do to defeat it was grab a $3 can of fiddly bits from Bunnings and give it a fucking custom paint job. Checkmate. But while I was researching for this video, it turns out the French had these as well, and they pushed them off the side of the road and set them on fire. Lovely work. Now before we move on, I want to quickly talk about those point-to-point average speed cameras. I actually know a lot about these. I got 3 stars on all of them in Forza Horizon 6, but the way they work is they capture the time that you enter the speed zone and you exit the speed zone. And if you're faster than the specific time, you cop a fine. Now a little birdie told me that you can go 106 kilometers an hour through the one on the Penlink without getting caught, and 117 kilometers an hour on the one on the Hume without getting caught. But for example, the one on the Penlink has a McDonald's and a BP halfway through, so you could technically go through at 300 kilometers an hour at the start, stop off for a Big Mac for half an hour or so, then get back on the road and do another 300 kilometers an hour, and you wouldn't get fined. And I saw this video the other day of a Ferrari that just so happened to break down in front of the other end of the average speed zone camera. What a coincidence. Now you may remember at the start of this video I said that we'd look at the positives and the negatives, and that of course was a joke because there's nothing good about speed cameras. Or is there? You see, the second word in speed camera is camera, which means that they take photos. And while unfortunately it's the government on the receiving end of these photos, sometimes they're just so outrageous that they actually have to make them public, usually in an attempt to find some criminal who's done some crazy stunt and been caught by one, but boy do they treat us to some belters. The first one we'll get into is this one here, which has become infamous in recent years. Now in case Stevie Wonder's watching this video, it's a single cab Ford Courier or something, with one bloke sitting on the bonnet, drinking a beer with one hand and flipping the bird with the other, with the passenger also showing his beer to the camera, while the driver's doing God knows what. Now this wouldn't be anything too outrageous if it was happening at like 40 k's an hour, but the cherry on top was that it happened at 119 kilometers an hour. And the funny thing is they probably would have gotten away with it too if they just did the speed limit. But judging by the performance these two were putting on, I think the goal was to get caught. But as far as I'm aware, caught is something that they didn't get, because the police had released this image to the public in hopes that someone would dob them in. And it goes without saying that this is absolutely fucking stupid and extremely dangerous. I'm not even joking here, but I mean, credit where credit's due. There's also this photo of this lady flipping off a mobile phone camera, which isn't actually illegal. However, her passenger has the seatbelt on wrong, which is illegal, and she copped a $400 fine. But by far my favourite speed camera photo of all time is this one, which I think came out of Russia, and unfortunately due to YouTube's guidelines I have to blur a lot of it here, but it was in fact a full moon. Now while we're on the topic of roadside cameras, I think it'd be rude not to mention other ones such as the mobile phone camera. I recently saw a little bit of a media buzz about the Auditor General looking into these mobile phone cameras, and after looking through the almost 200,000 infringements handed out, they came to the conclusion that while the program was effective in catching people on their mobile phones while driving, it wasn't clear how much it actually affected road safety due to the fact that the road toll only went up during this time. But the dumbest type of camera that I've seen on any road around the world has to be these ULEZ cameras in the UK. These are basically cameras that scan people's rego to see how old their car is and fine you if your car's too old and puts out too many emissions, basically targeting only poor people who can't afford new modern cars. In 2022, these cameras generated £222 million in revenue, or 444 million Australian dollars, simply by targeting people whose cars aren't as fuel efficient as the new ones. Now for those of you who don't know, central London's not exactly the cheapest place to live, so it wasn't really that big of an issue until 2023 when they decided to expand it further out, covering a lot more people who might not be as financially well off. And it'd be stupid to say that this decision was popular. Till this day, people are constantly cutting these cameras down. There's entire TikTok pages with hundreds of thousands of followers dedicated to the cause of cutting these cameras down. They're getting cut down faster than they can put them up, and they have to hire private security for the workers to reinstate them. They tried putting them in vans on the side of the road, and the rate of breakdowns across London dramatically increased. Some people were subtle, some people weren't so subtle, but the English public weren't exactly shying away from letting their voices be heard. I think we can learn a lot from the English and French. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, you'll probably enjoy one of these too. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment and share, and check out the Patreon. It's going to have a little tier that allows you guys to put your names at this section of the video like I used to do with the super chats back in the day. I'll see all of you guys in the next one.